Yeah, hey, Pete, I don't know, we wearing the same tie today, pal? Well, anyway.
Oh, you are.
How about that?
We all coordinated. That was great.
That's right. It's a red letter day for both Republicans, the two front runners. Well, Trump won big in my home state.
Want to get your overall reaction?
Well, Trump won big in my home state, and Utah, with the caucus system, really went the way that Mitt Romney wanted Utah to go, which surprised me, Pete, because Mike Leavitt was strong for John Kasich. And I thought John might have some sort of breakthrough in Utah, but it didn't happen for your guy.
It didn't. We're really going to have to wait until we get into the Midwest. The next primary state there is Wisconsin. Then you go into Pennsylvania. John's going to have to do well in those states to make sure that he can continue this campaign and really go into Cleveland with some momentum.
Well, Ted Cruz said today on CNN that Ohio Governor John Kasich, well, he's saying that he just needs to get out of the race. Take a listen.
He has no path to the nomination. It's mathematically impossible for John Kasich to become the Republican nominee. He needs more than 100% of the remaining delegates. And it's worth remembering, Kasich went 0 for 27, lost 27 states in a row.
So is it mathematically impossible? I know I'm not the best with numbers here, but gentlemen, help me out. Is it mathematically impossible now?
It really is an uphill battle. In fact, he really is, Pete, and he is looking ahead to the convention in Cleveland.
He has to be, right?
You know, I don't think California, the states to come, give him enough of a margin, even if he was to win everything, does it?
No, John could win every vote that is every delegate that's available between now and the convention. He'd still be up short, come up short. I think the same is almost true for Ted Cruz. Ted Cruz would have to win, I think, close to 90% of the delegates available between now and the convention. He's not going to do that either. You know, John Kasich needs to move forward with his campaign, talking about why he thinks he's the best candidate. He has every right to stay in this race. Ted Cruz should do the same thing, and they should stop worrying about he should get out of the race, they should get out of the race, we should stop that person, this person needs to win. Make your case to the Republican primary voters. Let's see where we come out, where we're at when the convention, and then the delegates will decide.
Well, of course, in the state I used to represent, a big night for Donald Trump. But I will tell you, there may be a couple of political casualties out in Arizona, not in the presidential race, but the county recorders, because to save money, especially in Maricopa County, they only opened a third of the polling places. That's why you saw those long lines, people waiting till 8:30 or 9.
Hours
I know some folks that waited 5 hours to vote. But I guess, Pete, it does speak to the intensity that Republicans are feeling about this nominating process.
Well, it talks about two things. It does talk about intensity, but it also talks about total incompetence. JD, I talked to one of our other former colleagues. He and his family stood in line for 4 hours to vote.
Wow.
All they have to do is verify that they're a registered voter and cast one ballot, you know, who their choice is, and that's it. It's absolutely unbelievable that, that kind of incompetence actually exists in government.
You know, I want to get your reaction. And JD, you heard that Monmouth poll. It's on our website, talking about that the majority of Republican voters believe that Trump should get the nomination if he garners up enough support and gets those delegates. Doesn't that count for anything?
Well, it should. I think a cautionary note needs to go out to
and I'm not saying this as like a Trump supporter.
No,
I'm just saying.
Understood. You're a journalist. Me, I'm a commentator and a former member of Congress like my pal Petey, so we mix it up on a lot of these questions. But I do believe Trump has shown his ability to win almost coast to coast now. He's won in the Northeast. He's won in the South.
Right.
He's won in the Southwest. He's won in the Midwest. And that kind of national campaign, Pete, bespeaks good standing for a potential nominee.
Obviously, I think John Kasich's the best candidate, but Donald Trump, if he gets 1,237 delegates, he deserves the nomination, and Republicans have to unite behind him. I think Democrats better be careful. If Donald Trump gets the nomination, he's going to surprise a lot of people. This has been a very, very unpredictable year, but it was only a few short months ago that people were going to Donald Trump and saying, Mr. Trump, you have to promise that if you don't get the nomination, you're not going to run as a third party and you're going to support the nominee. He did. If he wins this nomination fair and square, Republicans owe it to him. And more importantly, they owe it to his supporters, the people that came out and voted for him, the people that worked for him. to get behind him and ensure that he then becomes the next president.
And I just have to make this note today. You know, Pete, our old colleague, a junior colleague of ours back in our days in the Congress, Paul Ryan, got up and made a speech today to some interns and some young staffers talking about the tone of politics. Now, I got to tell you, he made that speech in the Ways and Means Committee room. I still think Paul is looking for a way, because he does have the means to go in as the presiding officer in the convention and maybe make things work for himself. Everybody's been talking about Kasich in Cleveland. What about Ryan? What is he up to? About 20 seconds.
I think Paul's up to the challenge of being speaker. I'm not sure he's ready to run for president. He'd make a great candidate. I think he's happy right where he is.
I just want to get jobs by turning down jobs.
Yeah,
like
well,
does.
it's a very
Don't we all
interesting
want to do that?
thing.
No, I don't want it. Okay, I'll take it. Gentlemen, thank you both. Pete Hoekstra, J.D. Hayworth,
Thank
always
you.
a pleasure to have you on. You can watch J.D. Hayworth on Newsmax Prime coming up tonight at 8 o'clock. J.D., pleasure to have you.
Thanks. Good to be with you.